Hello guys, how are you?
I'm Hardeep Singh. Welcome back to your own YouTube channel. IELTS updates and recent exams. For more updates related to recent IELTS exam writing test topics, listening, reading, practice test, and speaking, you got guesswork. Please, guys, participate in everyday listening and reading practice test to achieve your desired band score in your actual IELTS exam. Please hit the like and subscribe button. Press the bell icon for the upcoming notifications. Don't forget like, subscribe and share my YouTube channel and my Facebook page, IELTS updates and recent exams.
Part 1.
You will hear a man telephoning a language school for French lessons. First, you have some time to look at questions 1 to 3. Listen carefully and answer questions 1 to 3.
Hello, this is Bonjour Français, Elizabeth speaking. How can I help you?
I would like to study French. I am going to Paris next month, and I would like to brush up on my French before I go with some sort of course.
The type of course you would be looking at is a series of private lessons then. I'm afraid you can't join a class for short periods of time like that.
I understand. Yes, I would like that.
Can I have your name, please?
Yes, my name is Charles Blackley. That's Blackley.
Thank you, Mr. Blackley. You say you would like to freshen up your French, so can I assume you speak some French already?
Well, yes, but not very well. I studied it at school, but that was a long time ago. I have had some holidays in France since then and spoken it a bit, but I wouldn't say I am very fluent. I don't expect to be able to do business in French or anything, but I'd like to be able to make myself understood at my hotel and in restaurants. I'm going to a conference for work.
So you are not exactly a beginner, but you would like to get yourself to a basic communication level, correct?
Yes, exactly. I think I would need quite a few hours, though.
Can you give me your phone number, please? I'm on a landline here, so I can't see what your number is.
I won't give you my work number because I'm not in the office all the time and it goes to voicemail. This is the best number to call me on, 497-55983. That's my mobile number.
Before you listen to the rest of the conversation, you have some time to look at questions 4 to 10. Now listen and answer questions 4 to 10.
How much are the lessons?
Our packages start at 10 hours and the cost is £35 per hour, so a package would cost £350. You could do 6 lessons of an hour and a half and a final lesson of an hour. The teacher I have in mind specializes in getting people ready for holidays and business trips, so you would be in the right hands.
That sounds excellent. Where are you based?
The school is at 35 Market Street on the 3rd floor. Would you be doing the lessons in the evenings after work?
Yes, and the position is perfect. I work in Martin Street, around the corner from the school, so I could walk there quite quickly. That will save me a lot of time. What time could I have the lessons? I get away from work at about 6 o'clock.
What about 6 then, if you are only a few minutes walk away? That would have you finishing as early as 7:30.
That sounds perfect. How many days a week do you suggest I come for lessons?
What about starting with twice a week in the first week and then building up the number of lessons before you leave for France? Then, if you feel you need some extra lessons, we can add them onto your 10-lesson package without you having to buy as many as 10 more hours. What do you think of that?
Okay, is the teacher available on Tuesday and Thursday?
At that time, she's not available on Tuesdays. Perhaps you could do Mondays and Thursdays. Would that suit you?
Yes, that would be fine. What do I have to bring to the lesson?
The teacher will supply you with photocopies for the lessons. A notepad is all you need, so you can write things down.
I think I would prefer some sort of course book.
Why don't you discuss this with your teacher at the first lesson? Oh, yes, we need to assess your level before you begin. Can you do the online level test on our website before the first lesson? It is a multiple-choice grammar and vocabulary test.
Okay, but keep in mind that I read French quite well. It's the speaking and pronunciation that I have problems with. Where on the website is it?
If you go to the page called Student Information next to Course Times, you will see a link called Level Test. Click on that. It takes about 15 minutes to do so. It will help the teacher in her preparation.
Thank you very much. I just need to check with work that I can leave a few minutes early. Can I call you back to confirm?
Yes, of course. My name is Elizabeth. I'll wait for your call. Goodbye.
That is the end of part 1.
You now have half a minute to check your answers.
Now turns to part 2.
You will hear a childcare educator talking to trainees at the beginning of a course to become a home daycare provider. First, you have some time to look at questions 11 to 15. Now listen carefully and answer questions 11 to 15.
Welcome to the first day of these government-funded childcare courses. As you know, this region has a distinct lack of childcare facilities, so we are giving these courses to enable people in the area to start up small childcare businesses in their own homes. This 3-month afternoon course will not only teach you the basics of how to care for children between the ages of 2 and 5 years, and give you information on how to set up your own daycare facility, but will also enable you to become a registered home daycare provider. You will also need to concurrently study for CPR and first aid qualifications. There are morning classes at the local hospital, and I can give you information for enrolling in one of those. I know that many of you have been working in childcare facilities in this region for some time. To qualify to begin this course, all of you already have the experience of at least 300 hours of childcare, and you have all passed the necessary background checks. Before the end of this course, there will be a 2-hour exam that covers the syllabus we will study on the course. As most of you will be aiming to become registered home daycare providers, we will help you through the process. We are authorized to assist you in arranging the submission of registration forms once you have passed the course. It's quite a complicated process, and we want to make it easier for you. You have all passed the required home inspection. This has assured us that you meet the requirements for safety and cleanliness, any necessary childproofing of the home, and that there is a supply of emergency equipment.
Before you hear the rest of the conversation, You have some time to look at questions 16 to 20. Now listen and answer questions 16 to 20.
As this is part of a social government program, your license fee for being a registered home daycare provider will be waived for the next 3 years. Becoming a home daycare provider is a great way of working from your own home, particularly if you have your own children to look after and you would be in the home anyway. As part of the course, we will also teach you how to manage your finances when running a daycare facility from home and what you need to declare to the tax department. We will also cover the fees you can charge and the type of insurance you need to have. Training will be provided in food preparation, taking care of the children's hygiene and basic needs, doing activities with the children, and including some sleeping times for them. We wish to increase the number of home daycare centres in the region, so we want to make sure you succeed. Don't hesitate to ask if you have any questions. We are here to help you. The first thing you might ask is, how many children are you allowed to look after at once? For a single carer household, you can have up to 6 children, including your own, and they cannot be under the age of 2 years. If you employ a qualified assistant, you can have more, but this would need to be approved by us and would depend on the size of your home, etc. If you wish to care for smaller babies, that would require the further infant care qualification, which is an additional 1-month course, which we also offer. When you obtain your registration, you will qualify to be added to the municipality's website as one of our childcare providers. I assure you, you will be inundated with requests from families who need childcare, as we currently don't have enough. You will need to be prepared for occasional unexpected spot checks of your premises from us. And you will also need to regularly report to us on the children you are caring for. On this 12-week course, you will have 3 hours of lessons in the afternoons from 2 o'clock, 4 days a week from Monday to Thursday. It is a total of 144 hours. Oh, by the way, you also get free parking. You will be given a pass card at the end of the lesson that gives you entry to our staff car park. That doesn't cover today, I am afraid, as we were unable to send it to you in the post. But from tomorrow until the end of the course, you can park here without any problem. The entrance to the car park is in White Street, behind us.
That is the end of part 2.
You now have half a minute to check your answers.
Now turns to part 3.
You hear 2 students, Mandy and Rupert, talking to their tutor about a website they are designing. First, you have some time to look at questions 21 to 24. Now listen carefully and answer questions 21 to 24.
Hello, Mandy and Rupert. Well, here we are again. The material you brought to me last week was very incomplete, so I hope you have managed to bring something a bit better this week.
We hope so. This assignment is quite difficult, and because I have a new computer, we are still learning the software. So we still have the same idea for the project, but we have tried bringing it to life a bit more.
Well, website design is an intrinsic part of this graphic design course. I am sorry if I came over as extra tough last week, but I was so disappointed with the layout.
I think it was because we ran out of time. This week, we've really put ourselves completely into it, and I hope you'll be more pleased with the outcome. It's the same concept for a website for a hairdresser, because we still think this is a good idea. But this time we have added a lot of pages. The hairdresser has actually been really helpful. Here's the home page.
Ah, that is much more visually pleasing. What did you do to change it so much?
We took your advice and went back to talk to the client. Actually, sitting in the salon with her was really useful. We spent a few hours with her, saw the kind of work she did for customers, and had a good look at the decor and the ambience of the place. She had told us over the phone that she wanted a trendy website, but once we got to the salon, we saw our idea of trendy and hers was much different.
The decor was very natural, with light-colored wood and soft lighting. We sat down with her and put together a color ideas book on the tablet, using images that she showed us on social media. That gave us something to work with when we got home.
It's very interesting that you have learnt not just to listen to what the client says, but paid her a visit and asked her exactly what she wants. This image on the homepage is looking very good. Where does it come from?
It's a photo I took of the salon when I was there. I put it through a few filters and came up with this.
Before you hear the rest of the conversation, you have some time to look at questions 25 to 30. Now listen and answer questions 25 to 30.
So, yes, the pages are looking good. And this time you do have more information on the contacts page. There is a map at the bottom right. Very nice. I see you have added a price list. Good, though it probably shouldn't be on the contacts page. So the contacts are the address and phone number on the left. Perhaps you could give the name of the hairdresser too. Oh, you need to add the hours of the salon. That's important.
Oh yes, they're going in the space above the contacts. Now on this page, we have added some images that the client gave us of hairstyles and colors she has done. And if you click this button here, there are photos of weddings that she has done hair and makeup for.
Rather than having to go to the weddings from that page, why not have a separate link in the index for weddings? The photos have been professionally done, so they do look good.
Yes, that's a good idea.
Now, Rupert, I know you weren't very enthusiastic about doing this project when it was assigned to you, and it was quite clear last week that you had left Mandy to do most of the work. Mandy, has he stepped up a bit more since we last spoke?
Yes, he's been on the project 100% this week.
I'm glad to hear that. Rupert, you need to learn that in the world of graphic design, it would be very unusual if all the projects you had to work on were projects you were interested in. The key is to become involved whether you want to or not.
Yes, I understand that now. You know, the more I've worked on this, the more interested I've become. I have learned my lesson.
Okay, so have you shown the website to the client yet?
We wanted you to see it first. Do you approve us sending her a link to it today?
Yes, of course. But make sure you tell the client that this is not the final product and she can add or change anything she wishes. For example, make sure she is happy with the typeface. Also, I'm not sure if it is a good idea to have music on the site. Some people find it a bit off-putting. So I will see you next week and you can tell me what the client's reaction is. Thank you for coming in.
That is the end of part 3.
You now have half a minute to check your answers.
Now turns to part 4.
You will hear a part of a lecture about interest rate. First, you have some time to look at questions 31 to 40. Now listen carefully and answer questions 31 to 40.
Since the beginning of the global financial crisis more than 10 years ago, the developed world has remained in an ultra-low interest rate void. Economists are searching for a way out, but now there may not be one. The U.S. economy appeared to be on the path towards more normal interest rates and growth, even though they had become more cautious stepping into 2020. Japan and Europe did not look to be improving anytime soon, and even the incredible expansion that was being witnessed in the case of China was slowing under the pressure of a U.S. trade war. Then the world economy came to a complete halt with the COVID-19 virus shutdowns in a way which has never been witnessed. Production came to a halt, ports were closed, and stock markets plummeted. 10 years after the worst of the crisis appeared to pass in 2019, banks and policymakers were shocked that despite the great steps they had taken to kickstart their economies, normal growth settings would probably not be seen for many years to come. Central banks had tried to get things moving, but even before COVID-19, any time there was the hint of a slight tweak upwards in interest rates, the stock markets reacted negatively, forcing the banks to back off. If central banks try to normalize their monetary settings now, it could risk an even greater crisis. The big question is, will interest rates ever rise again? Are we to expect the current situation to continue as a type of new normal? From the beginning of the century, the very nature of world industries was reshaped by new technology. 30 years ago, the world's biggest companies were mainly fossil fuel energy and motor vehicle manufacturers. Now, the majority are tech companies and banks. The top tech companies, like Amazon, do not require huge capital investments and large workforces like the 20th century industries did. As a result, until very recently at least, savings rates in the developed world had increased, but the demand for capital investment and human resources decreased. In the wake of COVID-19, however, any expectation of unchanging interest rates and high levels of savings is no longer secure, and only time will tell what form the world economy will take in the coming years. Pre-COVID-19, it was believed that the demographic and technological shifts that had been occurring over the previous decade may have permanently set interest rates at levels never previously experienced. Of course, globalization and the lowered cost of imported manufactured products was also another factor when trying to figure out why the world economy seemed to be slowing down. Now, the very existence of globalization is under threat. There are some who believe that the developed world's economies would have slowed down anyway, regardless of whether the 2008 financial crisis had occurred. It seems we may be able to blame something else on the baby boomers apart from climate change. Baby boomers are the generation born between 1946 and 1964, and they have the largest savings, home ownership, and spending power of any of the generations. The oldest segment of baby boomers, those born in the first 10 years after the Second World War, were just starting to enter retirement when the economic crisis occurred. The rest of them, and some older ones who remained in the workforce to recoup capital losses from the crash, will have retired by the end of the decade. This means that they have had to become even more diligent savers in order to finance the years they will not be working. They have been a particularly productive segment of society. Economically speaking, it was probably more down to luck than anything. They were just born at the right time. They grew up in the post-war period of high growth and economic stability. There were few problems to stop this prosperity for them as they moved into the workforce, except perhaps the fuel crisis in the 1970s. During the 1990s, they reached their peak earning period in a time of prosperity and were well positioned to stake their savings in the technological boom. Each month now, until 2031, more and more of them will be going into retirement. As baby boomers retire, we should expect wide-ranging effects. As retirees, not only will they no longer contribute taxes, but they will be spending less, which is not a good recipe for economic growth. Before the recession of 2008, a retiree could invest their savings in the money market and get a 3 to 4% annual return on their investment. Now they would be lucky to get 0.75%. This means that the wealth of the baby boomers is going to dwindle during their retirement. Add to that a growing life expectancy, meaning they will need to support themselves for a longer period, and the amount of these savings that will have disappeared during the COVID-19 crisis, the outlook is not looking so good. Many baby boomers may end up living in poverty at the end of their lives. There are so many unknowns ahead of us economically in light of the current crisis. It is no longer easy to speculate.
That is the end of part 4.
You now have half a minute to check your answers.
So guys, don't forget like, subscribe and share my YouTube channel and my Facebook page, IELTS updates and recent exams. For more updates related to recent IELTS exam writing test topics, listening, reading, practice test and speaking, you cut guesswork. Please guys, participate in everyday new IELTS listening and reading practice tests to achieve your desired band score in your actual IELTS exam. For more IELTS material, visit my official website www.ieltsupdatesandrecentexams.com. The link is given below in the description. If you need PDF files of latest IELTS material, then please join my Telegram channel. So guys, please write your score below the comment section. Again, thanks for listening. God bless you all guys. Stay tuned, stay safe.